Have you ever wondered why grief feels like an ocean, deep and vast, threatening to pull us under with its powerful currents? In this vast world of ours, we all share a common experience, a universal rite of passage that transcends borders, cultures, and languages. That experience is grief. It's the aching void that's left when we lose someone dear to us. It's the silent echo that reverberates in the empty spaces once filled with laughter, shared memories, and words of love. Grief is the price we pay for love, a testament to the depth of our connections. Grief, like the ocean, can be terrifying in its immensity. It can seem endless, a dark abyss that swallows our joy, our energy, our very ability to keep moving forward. But just as the ocean has its calm surfaces, its gentle waves lapping at the shore, so too does grief have its moments of peace, of remembrance, of love that endures beyond the pain. In the midst of this struggle, we often search for a lifeline, something to hold on to, something to help us navigate the stormy seas of loss. For many, that lifeline comes in the form of faith, of scripture, of prayers whispered in the quiet moments when the world seems too loud and the grief too heavy to bear. In the pages of the Bible, we find verses that speak to our sorrow, that offer comfort and understanding in our darkest hours. We discover prayers that echo our own heartache, that put into words the feelings we can't quite articulate. These verses, these prayers, they don't erase the pain, but they offer a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in our grief, we're not alone. Grief is indeed an ocean, but it's one we don't have to navigate alone. Through faith, through prayer, through the wisdom found in the pages of the Bible, we can find the strength to keep swimming, to keep moving, to keep living, even in the face of profound loss. Grief is a journey, a road often traveled yet uniquely experienced by each individual. Losing a loved one is a profound pain, but what does the Bible say about grief and loss? This question leads us into a deep dive into the scriptures, where we find solace and understanding in the face of loss. Let's start with Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. This verse is a rallying cry for comfort in the heart of sorrow. It's a reminder that in our grief we're not alone. God is near, offering His divine comfort and support. He saves those who are crushed in spirit, providing a safe haven for our hearts when they're burdened by loss. Next, we turn to Revelation 21:4, a verse that paints a vivid picture of a future without pain or sorrow. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. This verse offers hope, a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. It speaks of a time when God will personally wipe away our tears, a future free from the pain and grief that we know all too well. Then there's Matthew 5:4, part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Here, Jesus acknowledges the pain of mourning, but also offers a promise of comfort. It's a reminder that in the midst of our sorrow, there is a blessing waiting. We are promised comfort, reassurance that we won't forever be trapped in the throes of grief. Each of these verses offers a unique perspective on grief, but they all point to the same truth. God is present in our sorrow. He's close to the brokenhearted, He promises a future without pain, and He assures comfort for those who mourn. These are not empty promises, but powerful reminders that we are not alone in our grief. However, it's important to remember that grief is a deeply personal experience. While these verses provide comfort, they are not a prescription for how we should feel or how quickly we should heal. The Bible doesn't gloss over the reality of grief. Instead, it acknowledges the pain and assures us of God's presence and comfort in the midst of it all. As we explore the Bible's perspectives on grief, we find a source of comfort and strength. We discover a God who weeps with us, who comforts us, and who promises a future free from the pain of loss. We see a God who is not distant or indifferent, but one who is intimately involved in our experiences of sorrow. In these verses, we find a comforting promise. God is near to the brokenhearted. His presence is a balm for our aching hearts, a source of hope in our darkest hours. As we navigate the path of grief, we can rest assured in the knowledge that we are never alone. Prayer can become a lifeline in times of grief, a beacon of light in the darkest hours. In the midst of loss, when words fail us and the weight of grief feels unbearable, prayer can offer solace. It allows us to speak our deepest sorrows and find comfort in a power greater than ourselves. It's a conversation of the heart, a whisper to the universe, a longing for peace and understanding. Let's explore some prayers that have offered comfort and solace to countless individuals navigating the turbulent seas of grief. The Serenity Prayer, often associated with recovery groups, holds profound wisdom for anyone grappling with loss. It says, "God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference." This prayer acknowledges our human limitations while empowering us to find peace in acceptance, courage in action, and wisdom in discernment. Then there's the traditional prayer for comfort. This prayer speaks directly to the pain of loss, asking for the comfort and peace that only divine love can provide. It says, "Merciful God, in my hour of need, be with me. Comfort me in my sorrow, calm my spirit, and lift my heart. In your love, let me find peace." In times of deep anguish, we may find solace in the prayer for hope. It says, "Lord, in my grief, I turn to you. Though I am lost and my heart is heavy, fill me with hope. Let your love shine a light in my darkness and guide my steps on the path ahead." These prayers and countless others can be anchors in the storm, a lifeline to hold on to when the waves of grief threaten to overwhelm. They can provide comfort, offer solace, and remind us that we are not alone in our pain. They allow us to articulate our grief, to voice our sorrow, and in doing so, begin the process of healing. Prayer can also be a deeply personal act, a unique expression of our individual experience of grief. It can be as simple as a wordless cry from the heart, a silent plea for comfort, or a whispered hope for peace. It doesn't have to fit into a certain mold or follow a specific formula. The most important thing is that it's authentic, that it comes from the depths of our being and speaks our truth. In the end, prayer is about more than words. It's about opening our hearts to a power greater than ourselves, about finding a way to express the inexpressible, to speak the words of our heart's deepest anguish. It's about reaching out in our pain and touching the divine, about finding solace and comfort in the arms of a loving universe. Through prayer, we find a way to express the inexpressible, to speak the words of our heart's deepest anguish. Now I invite you to join me in a prayer for those who are grieving. Let's take a deep breath and gather our hearts as we enter this sacred space of prayer. As we traverse this shared journey of sorrow and loss, we are not alone. We stand together, united in our humanity, our vulnerability, and our hope. Dear universe, we come before you, carrying the weight of grief. We acknowledge the pain of loss, the sting of farewell, the silence that echoes in the absence of a loved one. We are hurting, we are raw, but we are not defeated. We seek not to understand why, but to find comfort in the midst of our sorrow. We ask for your peace to envelop us like a warm blanket on a cold night. Let it soothe the sharp edges of our pain and bring calm to the storm of our grieving hearts. Grant us the strength to navigate the tumultuous seas of grief. May we find solace in our memories, joy in our love, and courage in our healing. We ask for your guidance as we journey through the valley of sorrow, that we may find our way to the hills of hope. As we mourn, help us to remember the light that our loved ones brought into our lives. Let their light continue to shine in our hearts, illuminating our path forward. May we find comfort in their legacy, their laughter, their love. We pray for understanding, not to make sense of our loss, but to embrace the full spectrum of our emotions. To feel deeply is to live fully, and in our grief, we are reminded of our capacity to love, to cherish, and to remember. In the quiet moments when the world seems too loud and our hearts too heavy, remind us of the resilience within us. Remind us that it's okay to cry, to miss, to feel. And in our darkest moments, let us find the courage to seek the dawn. May this prayer be a balm for your sorrow, a whisper of comfort in your darkest hour. Coping with grief is not a destination, but a journey. And like any journey, it requires tools for navigation. As we've traveled together through this conversation, we've delved into an exploration of grief, seeking understanding and solace in the wisdom of the Bible and the comfort of prayer. We've acknowledged the profound pain that loss can bring, but we've also recognized that it's an unavoidable part of our human experience. We learned that the Bible offers us a perspective on grief that is both compassionate and hopeful. It doesn't shy away from the reality of sorrow, but instead, it provides a lens through which to view our pain. In the Psalms, we find raw expressions of grief and despair, but we also find the promise of comfort and hope. The book of Job, too, gives a voice to the deep anguish of loss. Yet it also reminds us of the enduring presence and power of God, even when our world seems to crumble around us. Through the Bible, we're reminded that we're not alone in our grief, and that our feelings of sadness, anger, and confusion are not only valid, but shared by many throughout the ages. This shared understanding fosters a sense of community, a spiritual family bound together not only by shared faith, but also by shared human experience. Prayer, we discussed, is another vital tool on our journey through grief. It offers us a lifeline in the storm, a way to voice our deepest fears and sorrows, and to find solace in the presence of a compassionate God. We've looked at some specific prayers for grief and loss, including the comforting words of the prayer of St. Francis and the Lord's Prayer. These prayers, along with countless others, offer us a language for our pain and a framework for our hopes. We've also shared a prayer for our journey, a prayer for strength, comfort, and guidance as we navigate the road of grief. This prayer, like all prayers, is a testament to our resilience and our faith, a beacon of light in the darkness of loss. And so, we come to the road ahead. There will be times of sorrow, times of struggle, and times of healing. The journey may be long and often challenging, but it is a journey we do not walk alone. We have the wisdom of the Bible, the comfort of prayer, and the fellowship of a shared faith community to guide us, to support us, and to remind us of the enduring love and presence of God. The road ahead is ours to navigate, with all its twists and turns, its valleys and its peaks. But remember, it's not just about reaching a destination, but about the journey itself, the lessons we learn, the strength we discover, and the hope we nurture along the way. So, I ask you, how do you navigate your journey of grief? Please share your thoughts and experiences below. As we come to the end of our time together, I hope you've found some comfort in the words we've shared. Grief is a road that we all must travel at some point in our lives. It's a journey that can often feel lonely, filled with uncertainty, sorrow, and sometimes a sense of hopelessness. But in these moments, remember that faith can serve as a beacon of light, guiding us through our darkest hours. The Bible provides us with a rich tapestry of wisdom, teaching us that grief, though difficult, is a natural part of our human experience. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to ask questions. These are all parts of the healing process. Prayers and scriptures can offer solace, a comforting whisper in the silence of our sorrow. They remind us of a greater power, a divine love that embraces us even in our pain. Whether it's the prayer we shared today or another that resonates with you, I encourage you to find solace in these sacred words. However, remember that it's not just about solitary reflection. A crucial part of this journey is sharing it with others. Reach out to your communities, whether they're your family, friends, or even online groups. Their support can be invaluable, a source of strength when you feel you have none left to give. And lastly, continue exploring your grief through faith. This exploration is not a task to be rushed or completed in haste. It's a journey, one that unfolds at its own pace. So take your time, be patient with yourself. As we wrap up, I invite you to ponder on this. What has been your experience with grief and faith? It's a question that invites reflection, a conversation that we can continue in the comments below. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Please like and subscribe for more conversations like this. Peace be with you.